prompt you with this because you mentioned it, Larry. I want to put up her wearing the red suit on Election Day.
Here it comes.
And I want to put up her wearing the red suit when Trump visited the White House. And she also snubbed Kamala, leading you to believe what?
That she voted for Trump. Look, all those bad statements she made was before Kamala became the candidate. And I just wanted to go back inside the church for a minute, Molly. Take a careful look at that. That wasn't a nice conversation. That was outright flirtation.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and let me tell you something. This idea that Jill Biden, the First Lady of the United States, is somehow in love with Donald Trump, that's the most delusional, disgusting thing that I've heard in quite some time.
It was almost.
Oh my goodness!
That was almost heavy duty. That was almost heavy duty petting. At the G7 level.
Yikes.
I've been there. I've seen these things before.
Leave it to the folks at Fox News to spin a polite conversation into a soap opera love story.
Larry with the hot take for the day. And when I say hot take, no pun intended, Emily.
I know, you should have been a prosecutor, Larry.
Are they serious? Jill Biden is an accomplished educator, a doctor, a woman with dignity and integrity, and they're out here trying to say she's throwing herself at a guy sitting in a musky diaper hawking fart spray cologne. Give us a break. Let's start with what this event was really about. 5 years ago, Notre Dame Cathedral burned. It was heartbreaking. The world watched as centuries of history went up in flames. People cried, they mourned, but they also came together. Over 700 million euros was raised to restore it. Thousands of artisans worked for years, pouring their blood, sweat, and tears into every detail of that cathedral. It wasn't just about rebuilding a building. It was about restoring a symbol of resilience, hope, and unity. And the reopening ceremony, it was absolutely stunning. The bells rang for the first time in years, their sound echoing across Paris. Inside, the grand organ filled the cathedral with music that gave people chills. Leaders from around the world stood in awe. French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte were front and center, representing the pride of France. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, he was there, as was Britain's Prince William, representing unity and strength. Now, this is the kind of moment that should bring people together. But leave it to Donald Trump and his Fox News cheerleaders to turn it into a circus.
To me, this shows what all of us who've had the honor of meeting President Donald Trump feel, which is that he is charming and lovely and wonderful and kind and warm and funny and all of these things. So of course she's going to smile at him because he is a wonderful and normal human.
Trump was there, sitting next to Jill Biden because her husband, President Joe Biden, couldn't make it. And Fox News decided to turn this into some twisted, disgusting fantasy about Jill Biden being in love with Trump.
I mean, clearly she gravitates to power. You're not in a White House with a husband who really could have sat down long before that debate on June 27th. Yeah, I'm just going to say it because it's the truth. So she's gravitating toward power. And the shiniest object in the room at that moment, the one with the really good lighting, Molly, is Donald Trump.
Are they kidding? Jill Biden was representing her husband, not starring in some fake romance novel. The whole thing is ridiculous. Fox News wants you to think that Donald Trump was the star of the show. They'll show clips of him smiling and shaking hands with Macron, trying to look like some kind of knight in shining armor. But let's get real. The full picture tells a different story. Trump was flanked by empty seats. People in the background were holding their noses or smirking at him. One woman even raised her hand to her face like she couldn't handle the smell. And Trump, he was leaning over, desperate for someone, anyone, to talk to him. That's not power, folks. That's desperation. And speaking of desperation, let's talk about this cologne. Trump used this event, this sacred historic moment, to promote his new cologne line, Fight, Fight, Fight.
The cologne and perfume retail for $200 in bottles that feature Trump's autograph on the sides. Trump captioned the photo, "A fragrance your enemies can't resist."
A fragrance your enemies can't resist, he says. Well, from what I hear, it smells like armpits, ketchup, and bad decisions blended into fart spray. Can you imagine waking up on Christmas morning to find that in your stocking, MAGA morons are going to spray themselves with this crap and think they smell like power, but really, they smell like Trump's desperation bottled for $199 a pop. Now let's get back to this disgusting love story Fox News is pushing. Larry Kudlow, this guy gives me the creeps, actually said Jill Biden was engaged in heavy petting at the G7 level. What the hell is wrong with this guy? He's sitting there dripping with this kind of sleaze that makes Matt Gaetz look normal, spinning fantasies about the First Lady. And then you've got Kayleigh McEnany, BS Barbie, chiming in like this is some kind of reality show. She called Trump magnanimous and claimed Jill Biden gravitates towards power. No, Kayleigh, Jill Biden gravitates towards dignity, something you in the MAGA cult wouldn't recognize if it hit you right square in the face. And let's not forget the hypocrisy here. They're questioning why Joe Biden wasn't at the ceremony. Well, where was Melania? Where were Trump's kids? If they're so important, why weren't they there? Instead, Trump sat there alone, surrounded by empty seats, looking like a guy who accidentally wandered into a party that he wasn't invited to. And now Fox News wants us to believe Jill Biden is in love with him. What kind of nonsense is that? And while we're on the subject, what about Melania? How does she feel about this? Her husband is out here posting pictures of himself with another woman, selling cologne with slogans like, "A fragrance your enemies can't resist." If I were her, I would be squinting a little harder right now. Yep, and let's not forget, this is the same man who called her classy while she was showing her butthole on the internet. That's right, I said it. And now Fox News wants us to believe Jill Biden would throw away her integrity for this guy. Get out of here with that garbage. But here's the real reason they're pushing this nonsense. Money. There've been plenty of reporting suggesting the Trumps may be broke. Is that why everything they do feels like a grift? Trump hawking overpriced cologne, Ivanka disappearing into obscurity after her little fashion empire fell apart? It all points to a family scrambling to stay relevant. Ivanka got those patents from China while working in the administration, but now nobody wants her at their events. She's a joke, and that's exactly how Donald Trump is seen on the world stage. A joke. This whole fake love story is a distraction, folks. It's Fox News feeding the undereducated, moronic Trump cult a narrative they can get behind because they can't handle the truth. The truth is, Trump is a grifter. Always has been, always will be. They can't talk about the real story, the restoration of the Notre Dame Cathedral, because it doesn't involve Trump. So instead, they spin this garbage. It's disgusting, it's perverted, and it's insulting to Jill Biden, Melania Trump, and frankly, all of us. Let's not lose sight of what this ceremony was about. It was about the hard work, the artistry, and the determination of thousands of people who rebuilt a symbol of hope and resilience. It was about unity and pride. It wasn't about Donald Trump or his fart for a spray cologne. It wasn't about Fox News' twisted fantasies. This was about Notre Dame and the people who brought it back to life. So while the bells of Notre Dame rang out in triumph, what was Donald Trump doing? Sitting in his circle of stink, selling his musky delusions to anyone desperate enough to buy them. And that, folks, is the real story. And that's a fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.